And this is my Smart American Accent Training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class. You can leave questions in the chat at any time, or if you're watching as a replay, feel free to leave comments with questions and I'll get back to you with answers. At the start of class each week, we start with a topic, usually a request from a viewer, and cover that in detail. And then your questions can be about this topic or any topic for American English pronunciation, American accent, intonation, whatever you're struggling with right now in your journey to become more fluent in speaking English. So at the start of class today, I'd like to focus on 4 words: wolf, wool, wood, and wood. And I want to talk about the sounds in these words, talk about the spelling, and help you to feel more confident in understanding what you're hearing and how you're pronouncing these words. So first of all, the word wolf is confusing because the letters don't really match the sounds. We do have a w sound, an o sound, and a f sound, but the letter o says the sound in this word. And this is what I call the good book vowel. It's a challenging vowel for a lot of people because you may not have this vowel in your native language, and people will often use more of a tense oo vowel instead of the vowel when they're trying to say words like good and book. That'll be especially noticeable in our words wool and wood today because they're spelled with letters oo. So I'll get into that in more detail when we're talking about those words. But in the word wolf, it's hard to know what am I supposed to be doing with that letter O. Letter O typically says ah in English, but when it's together here with the O, it becomes our vowel. So I've rewritten that for you here with the letters ULL, wool, because that's how we spell the word pull, which has the same vowel. So what you might find helpful is to be saying a word like pull or even push, a word where you feel more confident using the sound, and then put it into this word. So for example, pull, wool, wolf. So including wool here, I've rewritten wool with the same spelling, even though it has letters oo, it also has the sound. So pull with ull and wool with ool have the same pronunciation. Unlike most words that have the ool, like tool or school, pool, etc., those have our oo vowel, which is the most typical vowel sound for 2 O's in a row. So most of the time when you're learning spelling and pronunciation in English, you can look at 2 O's and count on it being a tense oo, like in food, school, etc. Wool is an exception. It's better to visualize it with ull, like in pull, and then you'll be more likely to have that accurate vowel. So if I can say wool, then I can add my f sound and say wolf, wolf. Another word spelled with olf, we have the word golf. That has the sound, and I would think of it like the word gull, golf. It's the same as this kind of golf. So they played golf in the Gulf of Mexico. That's an aside. Those are different sounds. Focusing on wool, pull, wolf is really going to help you with these particular words and sounds. A little bit challenging though. You can see how spelling might interfere with your understanding or pronunciation here. And also just this good book vowel, you might find that challenging in general. In which case, I highly recommend going through my lessons regarding the vowel and also the versus the oo vowel, looking for accent error patterns you may have on it, understanding which words have the vowel, the oo spelling, and other spellings of that vowel. You can check those out here on the channel, and also I go into great detail about these sounds and all of the sounds of English in our Sounds of English course on our website, speechmodification.com. So that's a great resource as well. Then as long as we're talking about wool and wolf, we should talk about wood and wood. And notice as I'm saying those 2 words, they sound exactly the same. So different spelling, different meaning. This is the noun, wood, the substance that comes from trees. This is would, the modal verb, like I would like to chop some wood. And so first of all, the spelling is different. So this vowel can be spelled OO like in would or wool, or OU like in could, would, and should, or even thinking of that as OUL being the spelling, because notice in the symbols for would, no L sound. So even though would, this one has the letter L, it's not would. There's no L sound in would, could, or should. They sound the same as good. We could spell it this way, would. Different origin, different spelling, but same pronunciation. So same idea here is thinking of if you're comfortable with that vowel in a word like good, you could say good would, or that would be good. I would like some wood. You're working on having that lax, rounded, high back vowel, and not letting this become wood, but rather would. And on this one, just watching out that you're not pronouncing any sort of L sound for that sound. So I do have a lot of videos talking about, again, these particular words and these sounds, but looking at all four of these words together can be enlightening in terms of looking at what's happening with spelling and sounds and just clearing up some of the challenges you might have. Do try practicing the words in some short sentences and phrases so you become comfortable with them, and learn other words that are similar, like pull for wool. That can really help. Even though the spelling is quite different, you may find it's easy for you to say the word pull, in which case it'll become easier for you also to say the words wool and wolf. Okay, great. Moving on to your questions. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see so many of you here today at a slightly earlier time this Saturday. So do check the channel page and the community page for the upcoming live streams, and I'll always be posting when I'm going to be live next. We'll be back to more regular pattern on Saturdays moving forward through the fall. Okay, nice to see everyone. Welcome. We have a question about the word elusive. So in elusive, we have the stress on our lu syllable. And here, letter U says the oo sound, like we were talking about in pool and school. So I'll rewrite that with two O's. That's a typical spelling that I use to try to trigger your understanding of the vowel sounds. And then we have, because we're stressing on the lu syllable, our letter E is not going to say E. If I'm saying this word by itself, I might say a little bit like elusive, but typically in connected speech and the correct pronunciation is that the letter E is going to be our I sound. So I usually spell that with IH. In the IPA, you'll see it this being this small sized but uppercased I letter. Then you'll see the stress marker for the stress on lu. And then finally we have another unstressed I in the final syllable. And then the E is silent. So elusive. Watch out that even though we have the E at the end, this does not follow the pattern like a word like live does, or dive, where the letter E makes the I say its name. It's more like live. We have live, like a live broadcast, and live like I live in Seattle. Elusive is like live. Yeah, good word. Thank you for that request. Okay. Nice to see so many of you here and hear about what you're doing. We had a follow-up question about book rhyming with buck, and that's actually not true. So buck has the vowel, like in such fun. And book has the vowel, like in good book. And so for thinking about this, you can think about buck rhymes with luck, and book rhymes with look. So the difference here between the is that it's a higher vowel. I'm using the lip rounding. The my tongue is more flat, it's slightly lower, jaw's a little more open. And there's no lip rounding. So look and luck, book and buck. Yeah, thank you for that follow-up question. Those vowels, the vowel, sometimes it's hard for people to hear those differences. You can check out my videos here on the channel for those particular contrasts. I have a minimal pairs and contrast words playlist that works through minimal pairs of vowels. Also on my vowels playlist, I go through each of the vowels, give you examples, and kind of show you the placement of the vowels, help you to understand the symbols and those sounds. So that would be something to check out if that would be helpful for you. Okay. We have a question about cents and whether they sound the same. So like dollars and cents, and I have a sense of. So technically no, cents has a stopped t sound, cents, where it's going to have the se, n. We're not going to really hear that T, but we're going to hear that the air stops. So when I'm saying cents, I don't hear the T. I'm not saying cents, right? Not cents, cents. But I'm going to hear that I don't go right from the N to the S. So it sounds like cents. There is a bit of a stopping of the air rather than a flowing of the air between the N and the S. Whereas cents, there's nothing to stop my my flow of air from the N to this sense. So I get a sense that, and I have 20 cents. They do sound very, very similar. So you can think of them as being mostly the same because the T basically drops when we have an N, T, and S sound, cents, dollars and cents. But technically there's a little bit more of a stop there for the unreleased T. So I would say it's okay in general to think of them sounding the same. I just want to be careful not, if I'm saying sense, not to say sense with a stressed or a lengthened N sound like I have in this sense. Okay, but yes, good observation on your part. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, we have a question about, yes, so you're following up with the optional light T for words with N, with NCS, like for NCS, like distance, we're basically just doing the SC, and it's not really different than distance. Like someone who's distant, a distant and distance, very similar sounds with the NS and the NTS. Yeah, so that's basically what you're mentioning was what I was trying to describe with sense and sense. So NSE, NCE, same sounds. Very good, thank you. Okay, we have a question about the word Miami, or the town, the city, Miami. So here we have 3 syllables. First syllable is stressed. We have the I diphthong like the word my. I'll write it that way, or you can think of it like my, like in might. And then we have the a, black cat vowel for the letter A. And then we have the E sound, Miami, for the third syllable. Interestingly, when we're going from the I to the a, we have a little bit of vowel to vowel linking happening there. So you're not going to see it in the dictionary, but there is a little y sound. So if you're looking at this one, it's already going to be built in by spelling my with letter Y, Miami. Or you can think about it like Miami. So I don't need to make it like not my yam. I don't want a break there or a strong y sound. Just naturally, as I move from the I to the a, my, we have that y sound. And often what I hear is if people don't have that natural vowel to vowel linking, it'll sound like we'll miss the middle syllable. It'll sound more like mammy. Like it gets too reduced. We don't hear all 3 syllables. So in order to be able to hear Miami, as you connect between vowels, make sure that you have that y sound there, Miami. Okay, maybe more than you bargained for on that word, but that could be what might be happening for you. First of all, knowing that the letters I say the I and the E in that word, and then secondly, that vowel to vowel linking is something to watch out for accent error patterns. And then you also had sumptuous, so sumptuous. First syllable stress, we have the schwa vowel there, sumptuous. The P is somewhat inaudible. Again, 3 consonants in a row, sometimes the middle one drops. The TU, sumptuous, is a ch sound and an oo sound. And then again, between the oo and us, we have a little bit of a vowel-to-vowel linking with the y sound. So sounds like I don't know why I'm writing a W there. I think I'm taking the U and the M and turning them into a W. So us. And here's where my little y sound might happen. Sumptuous, us. Actually not a y sound here. This vowel-to-vowel linking would be a w sound because I'm moving from a rounded vowel to an unrounded vowel. So rather than the y sound, which happens from a front vowel to a back vowel, y, here, ooh-ah. The W sound kind of naturally happens as I'm gliding. Sumptuous. It was a sumptuous meal in Miami. Okay, good. So do try practicing. Once you've mastered a word, you always want to look at using it in some phrases so that it becomes more easy. You can say it more easily and naturally, fluently when you're speaking. Great words. Thank you for that request. Okay. We have a teacher talking about learners mispronouncing hotel. So for this one, we have often when we have the T in the middle of words, it's going to be a flap sound in English. But in hotel, the stress is on the second syllable. So the T functions like a T at the start. So what I would suggest for teaching your students is have them say the word tell first, and then add the ho sound back on. So have them say tell, hotel, so that they're not overly stressing on the first syllable of hotel with the O vowel. It still is a clear vowel, but I don't want hotel or hodel or any of that. I want it to sound just like the word tell, hotel. So hopefully that will help them. It may be a rhythm-based issue. It may be how the spelling and the sounds are slightly different than we might expect in this word. So that would be the technique I would suggest, saying tell, hotel. I hope that helps you and your students. Okay, great. Whether or not hotel is acceptable, not really. I mean, you'll still be understood if I say hotel, where's the hotel? But the rhythm of that word is hotel with second syllable stress. So I would focus on getting that correct rhythm for your students. Okay. We have a question about rule and roll, the difference in sounds for rule and roll. So rule is like we were talking about with our school, pool, thinking of that one as the tense oo sound, rule. So think about like school rules, pool rules, the rule at school should help you. And then for roll, we have the O vowel. So I would write it kind of like this maybe, or this, roll. So in this one it's O, and this one it's oo. And so you could use other words with ol that have that vowel, goal, stole, pole, this kind of pole or this kind of pole. The other thing is with the L's that might make it trickier. So you might find it helpful to do something like no roll and new rule, where this one is clearly the oo, new rule, and no roll. For the oo, my lips are more pursed, my tongue is higher, it's a high back sound, oo. For the o, my tongue starts lower, my lips are still pursed, but you can see for oo, very tight, for o, a little more open. The o is also a diphthong, I'm sliding. So as I say o, I'm lifting the back of the tongue. starting in a more open position and closing my jaw. Roll, ol. So you should feel some closing. For rule, there's no movement on the vowel. The only movement happens with the L sound there. These also do have some vowel to vowel linking. So for rule, you can kind of think about it like wool. So that wool that we were looking at before, like pull, that's what we do for the dark L in these words. So there is some gliding as I move from the oo to the ul. Ool, rule. For roll, also some w sound happening. Roll. Yeah. So the tricky part with the L is understanding that dark L and the vowel to L linking that happens before. The basics on the vowels, thinking about like new rule and no roll, should help you make that differentiation between oo and o. Also, you can check out, I do have some videos focusing on this contrast in our contrast videos, and also looking at each of those vowel sounds separately and other words to figure out which, what's making the challenge between those two vowels could be helpful for you. Great questions today. Really good topics, useful, helpful for a lot of people, I'm sure. So thank you so much for that question. Okay. For the question about the word tangential, whether it has the CH or SH sound, for the shul, tangential. I think it's the SH sound here, tangential. Yeah, if it's the CH, it would sound too short. Tangential. So definitely the SH sound, although the difference between those two in the middle of words and some words, it's not super clear. Just notice that gential, the air kind of continues to flow rather than chul with the CH sound. Tangential. If I said it with a ch, tangential, as long as I'm not doing a really strong ch sound, it's okay. And there is kind of something that happens that's slightly between those two sounds in some cases. But in the dictionary, you'll see it's this symbol for the SH sound and not this symbol for the T, the ch sound, tangential. Excuse me. Great question. Thank you so much. Okay. Wonderful to see so many of you here today. If you're watching this later on as a replay, you can leave questions in the comments and I will come back to those and give you resources and answers. And yes, I'll turn to the next questions now. So we have a question about through. And I think you might mean thoroughly rather than throughly. We don't have a word throughly. So we have some questions about the TH sound, so let's take a look. So for through, we have the voiceless TH. So my tongue's between my teeth. I'm blowing air over it. Then I have to pull my tongue back for the R sound. Then I have my oo. And then the GH is silent. So basically, I would rewrite it as through. It's the same pronunciation as this, through, if that helps you. So I threw the ball through the hoop. Not an easy combination of sounds, but respelling it and writing it this way simplifies what's happening there with the OUGH. And then when we're looking at thorough, we have two syllables, and here letters OR say the sound. So I would rewrite that one as thorough, first syllable stress, thorough. So it's confusing because here the OUGH says O, and here it just is the oo sound, and also here the letters OR say the sound. So you can think about it like thir as in third or 13, or ER, thir, whatever respelling helps you to know that you should be doing the sound here and not an or. I do have a video about through and thorough that you can check out on the channel. leave me a comment later and I'll direct you to where that video is, or you can go to the search box on our channel page, type in your words, and it'll show you all the videos related to your words or to your question. If you're not finding what you're looking for, though, I don't mind responding to comments and sending you in the right direction to help you find what you need here on the channel. So thanks for that request and question. Okay. So, and then we had another question about three, th in three and through. So basically, if I'm trying to do the thr combination, some people find it helpful to start with the r, just saying re, and then sneak your tongue forward for the th. Re, three. If I start with the th and I'm really overdoing kind of how far out my tongue has to come, like three, I'm going to end up with kind of having a three, which I don't want. I want to really be able to move seamlessly from the th to the r. The r position is the most important. When I have the back of my tongue ready for re, three, and then I just sneak the tongue forward for the th, I'm more likely to get that r accurately than if I start with th and try to work my way back. I would also just say work on the th separately and the r separately, and when both of those are stronger, it'll become easier to do thr. I do have a number of videos about thr combinations and how to practice that, so check those out as well to get some more detailed help for your request. Okay. So question about ed endings. Yeah, I definitely think that it's an important one to focus on with your students, making sure that they can do the ed endings. Yes, and the issue is saying like moved or called instead of called, moved, and it will definitely improve their ability to be understood when speaking English. If they say called or moved, a native speaker of English might not even understand what they mean. So do check out my video for past tense. I have some tips for you on how to teach what ed says where, so that knowing that it does say wanted, it does say the id sound here, but it only happens when the verb ends with a t or a d. Most of the time, it's just the D sound, as you know, and of course, sometimes it's the T sound, like in stopped. That ed says T. Yeah, so definitely something I would focus on with students because when I hear that in the community and with my clients, it's an error pattern that does really affect people's ability to understand you, and also using past tense accurately is an important part of pronunciation and grammar, of course. Okay, we have a question about perpetuate. So perpetuate, second syllable stress. We have the red tent vowel here. The tu, perpetuate. A little bit of a ch sound there, perpetuate. And then unstressed at the beginning. So thinking about that as unreleased T, perpetuate. We don't want to perpetuate this problem. That problem was perpetuated by the community. Okay, yeah, good, thank you. Nice, good word. We have a question about vulnerable. So, vulnerable. So, thinking about, here we have back to our, we were talking about the word gull and golf. So, vol, we have the schwa, first syllable stress. So, thinking about like vol, bull. And then back again to our syllabic L at the end. So vulnerable. A lot of native speakers mispronounce this. They'll say like vulnerable. I can't do it the wrong way. Vulnerable. They will transpose letters and mispronounce it, but it is pronounced the way it's written, vulnerable, vulnerable. Sometimes you'll hear this syllable get a little reduced, like vulnerable, vulnerable. So it might sound more like 3 syllables, vulnerable, vulnerable. Because this one goes by really fast, but you can do vulnerable, all 4 syllables. Just stretch your first syllable, and then these 3 are quicker. Vulnerable, vulnerable. I do have a video for that helps break it down, walk you through it, and be patient with yourself on that one. It's challenging with the R's and the L's, and also just that you might not always be hearing accurate models from native speakers, because that's a commonly mispronounced word among English speakers as well. Okay, we'll take a few more questions and then we'll be wrapping up for today. I will be back again next Saturday with another live class, and you can always leave questions and comments on any video in the channel, and I'll get back to you with resources and help for your specific questions. So do check back on our weekly videos, our other videos, and our past videos with your questions. Yeah, we have a question about, so an exception to our rule, like we do have the word picked. This is not the exception. It follows the rule of a verb ending with a k sound will sound like picked. The ed will say that, but we do have for wicked, that one is 2 syllables, wicked. And you're asking if there's others. With this k ed, I don't think so. It's, tricked, picked. Also, we do have wicked. So wicked, maybe here is the reason. This is an adjective. The wicked stepmother, the wicked witch. For to wick, like sweat wicks away. The sweat wicked away. That does not move. So the verb actually follows the rule. The adjective wicked doesn't. So there's some cases, I believe, also where, for example, I learned about it. No D sound, just learned. But the learned professor is learned. So that's the adjective as well. It's less common, it's old-fashioned to say the learned professor. There's a few other examples like that of the adjective form where we do use 2 syllables. Sometimes that's gone away, but there are cases where we do that, like wicked and learned. Yeah, so that's a good point, good example. The adjective form may have a 2-syllable pronunciation instead of a single syllable. I do have a video about a particular word that does that, and it's not which word it is not coming to mind, but if I think of it later, I'll add it to a comment on this video for you. Okay, wonderful. We'll do one last challenging word with murderer. Oh yeah, you're giving me some more suggestions. Aged, blessed. Yeah, those are some of the ones that that I have videos for. Aged, a girl aged 10, or the aged professor, for example. Okay, looking at murderer, another challenging one. I would just break this down syllable by syllable. So first syllable, mur, second syllable, der, last syllable, So work on murder first. This D is going to be a light flap, so keep it light. Murder, not murder, not a strong stop of air. Murderer. So this is the most challenging part, going from to again. You can keep your tongue in that tight position and just drop a little. Murderer, murderer. I do have a video breaking down murder and murderer to help you with that. Just be patient again that it's challenging to put those ers in combination together, and work on simpler words with and then build your way up to murder and murderer. Okay, great word. Okay, words. I'll take one more because thank you so much for the great questions. I do want to make sure I get to everybody's today. So we have a question about words that start with E, struggling about the difference between E and A at the start of words. So you're going to have different sounds for E and A at the start of words. Sometimes E, when it's unstressed, it's often going to be an I sound, like escape, event. For those, what I would say is start with a stress syllable, vent, event, so that you can stay nice and light on your E sound. For the A, often when it's unstressed, it's going to sound more like a schwa. So like above, same idea. If you start with above, it's going to help you reduce and use that sound. But if A is stressed, it might have the A sound or the A sound. If you're having trouble with the E like extra and the A like asset, I think knowing which words have which sounds is kind of the key and where the stress lies. There's not a lot of contrast between and A at the start. It's more common for them to be unstressed and to be the and the sound. These two don't matter too much. If I say event or event, doesn't matter too much. Event. Most important is that it's a reduced sound and not a clear vowel. I can't really use I for the one, so the is more the default, and then the I happens more often when it's the letter E. Okay, so that might not be specifically what you were looking for. If you have some specific words, maybe leave them in a comment for me later, and if I have a video covering those, I'll let you know. There's some places where the E and the A both make the same sound at the start of words. I can think of like accept and accept with an E and an A. Different meaning, but same sounds. Okay, good. Lulu, if you wanted to put your question back, you retracted it. I was going to answer those for you, but I don't see your words there anymore. So I'll give you a moment to do that. So wonderful to see so many of you here. As I said, lots of interesting topics today. I hope this helps you personally and for your students if you're a teacher. We have a question about Americans pronouncing be able to with the T flap. Depends, sounds like D or L depending on the person. Be able to or be able to. Okay, so that's a reduction that sometimes people do. So instead of be able to or be able to, you'll hear be able to. The T becomes more of a flap, be able to, or be able to, be able to. This one to me sounds less educated. It's missing the D or the T sound. So I like either be able to or be able to. That's what I tend towards. Be able to. It sounds a little bit less accurate and more lazy. You will hear it, but this is the one I would go for because in professional speech, you're going to hear this reduction. It's a natural linking. This one is more of a letting go of some of the details. Not that it doesn't happen, but it sounds like a mispronunciation to me, whereas this one is just how we do it in fluent speech. Now, maybe regionally, this will be more accepted in professional speech elsewhere. In the Midwest, the West Coast, the East Coast, this one not so much. So I would say go with the first one. Okay, great. Wonderful questions today. It was nice to see so many of you here. If you're watching later on as a replay, you can leave your questions in a comment and I'll get back to you with responses and answers. Thanks so much for being part of the class today, supporting the channel by subscribing, commenting, liking videos, and a special shout out to our channel members. Thanks so much for having joined the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in our next members class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Thanks for a great class.